Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Alwi Ramadhani Faturrahman, and today I'm going to do a consort checklist about on the article about efficacy and safety of a recombinant plant-based adjuvanted COVID-19 vaccine. So starting off, being title and abstract on point 1A, identification as a randomized trial in the title. So on the title and abstract of the identification as a randomized trial and title, where it is stated as efficacy and safety of recombinant plant-based adjuvanted COVID-19 vaccine. And then we're moving on to the point 1B, is structured summary of a trial of trial design, methods, results, and conclusion. So for this one, it is stated in the first page as being the abstract of efficacy and safety of a recombinant plant-based adjuvanted COVID-19 vaccine. It is stated here the methods. In this phase 3, a multinational randomized placebo-controlled trial conducted at 85 centers. We assign adults above 18 years of age in a 1:1 ratio to receive 2 intramuscular injections of COV-LP plus AS03 vaccine or placebo, 21 days apart. And the results are a total of 24,141 volunteers participated in trial. The median age of the participants was 29 years. COVID-19 was confirmed by polymers chain reactions assay in 165 participants in the intention to treat populations. All viral samples that could be sequenced contain variants of the original strain. And for the conclusion, the COV-LP plus AS03 vaccine was effective in preventing COVID-19 caused by a spectrum of variants with efficacy ranging from 69.5% against symptomatic infections to 78.8% against moderate to severe disease. It is funded by Medicago. So next up, we're moving on to introduction, background, and objectives. Being point 2A, scientific background and explanation of rationale. So for this one, it is stated in the first page, which is coronavirus-like particles COV-LP. They are produced in plants and display the perfusion spike glycoprotein of the original strain of severe acute respiratory syndrome of coronavirus 2 or SARS-CoV-2 are combined with an adjuvant system 03 AS03 to form the candidate vaccine. And then moving on to specific objectives or hypotheses, it is stated in the second page, which is the primary objective of the trial was to determine the efficacy of the COV-LP plus AS03 vaccine. So the trial objective of this is to decide whether or not the COV-LP plus AS03 vaccine works in preventing the SARS-CoV-2 infection. Moving on to the methods of dissection, which is the first one being trial and design, being point 3A, description of trial design such as parallel, factorial, including allocation ratio. It is stated in the second and third page, which is this one, being the trial design and oversight. Enrollment for this ongoing randomized placebo-controlled trial was conducted from March 15 to September 2, 2021 at 85 sites in Argentina, Brazil, Canada, Mexico, the United Kingdom, and the United States. The trial which was funded by Medicago with financial support from the Canadian Innovation, Science and Economic Development Strategic Innovation Fund, was designed by company representatives with input from GlaxoSmithKline, Syneos Health Canada provided trial management services. Site investigators were responsible for the recruitment of trial participants, local trial conduct, and data collection. Moving on to point 3b, important changes to methods after trial commencement. For this point, it is not stated in the article, which I cannot found. So we're skipping that point. So we're moving on to point uh, to the section of participants, which is for a eligibility criteria for participants. It is stated in the third page, participants and randomization. So for this one, for the eligibility of criteria for participants is the trial participants were adults 18 years of age who had not received previous vaccination against SARS-CoV-2 and who had no history of confirmed COVID-19. So for the participants, the eligibility on doing this experiment is above 18 years of age and also who had not received previous vaccination against SARS-CoV-2. And it is stated participants were randomly assigned in a 1:1 ratio to receive two sequential intramuscular injections of the CoV-LPA03 vaccine or placebo. Moving on to point 4b, settings and locations where the data were collected. It is stated, I believe, in page 2, I'm sorry. It is the trial which was funded by the Medicago with financial support from the Canadian Innovation, Science and Economic Development Strategic Innovation Fund, was designed by company representative with input GlaxoSmithKline. And it is stated here, the trial was conducted from March 15 to September 2, 2021 at 85 sites in Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Canada, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Moving on to interventions in point 5. Section interventions, point 5. The interventions for each group with sufficient details to allow replication, including how and when they were actually administered. For this one, I didn't find the complete data of it, so we're going to skip that one. And we're moving on to the next. For the interventions, the outcomes 6.6a, it is stated in the second page. Third page, sorry, in the efficacy assessment. The primary vaccine efficacy endpoint was the prevention of symptomatic COVID-19 detected at least 7 days after the second dose. Cases were adjudicated in a blinded fashion by a subcommittee of the Data and Safety Monitoring Committee. A positive case was defined as the presence of at least one symptom that was compatible with COVID-19 and positive results for SARS-CoV-2 on a nasopharyngeal or nasal swab by reverse transcriptase polymers chain reaction, RT-PCR assay. That's point 6a. We're moving on to point 6b. Any changes to trial outcomes at the trial comments with reasons. For point 6b, any changes to trial outcomes after trial comments with reasons. There is no changes to trial comments, so they're going with what they planned, and there were no changes or whatsoever. I didn't find any data or text that says they're going to change the trial outcomes of the trial comments with reasons. So we're moving on to sample size to point 7a, how sample size were determined. For 0.7a, how sample size was determined, is in page 3 of the trial injections point. The COV-LP vaccine, which has been described previously, displays full-length, pre-stabilized, uh, pre-stabilized glycoprotein trimers from SARS-CoV-2, expressed in Nicotiana benthamiana. The vaccine contained 3.7 micrograms of COV-LP combined with AS03, which contains DLA tocopherol and squalene in a final volume of 0.5 milliliters. The placebo injection contained 0.5 milliliter of phosphate buffered saline with polysorbate 80. Both the vaccine and placebo were injected in 2 doses administered 21 days apart. We're moving on to the next one is 0.7b when applicable, explanation of any interim analysis and stopping guidelines. So moving on to 0.7b, when applicable, explanation of any interim analysis and stopping guidelines. It is not stated in the article, so we're moving on to a section of randomization, which is sequence 0.8a, method used to generate the random allocation sequence. It is also not stated in the article, so we're moving on next to generations, being 0.8b, type of randomization, details of any restrictions such as blocking and block size. It is stated in page 3, which is participant and randomization. The trial participants were adults 18 years of age who had not received previous vaccination against SARS-CoV-2. Staff members who were aware of trial group assignments perform all safety evaluation. The intention to treat population included all the participants who had undergone randomization. So that's for 0.8b. So we're moving on to section 9, which is allocation, being 0.9, mechanism used to implement the random allocation sequence. Not stated in the article, so we're moving on to 0.10. Who generated the random allocation sequence? Who enrolled participants and who assigned participants to interventions. It is stated in 0.5. The data cutoff date for the primary vaccine efficacy analysis was August 20 of 2021. On the 25,170 participants who were recruited, 24,141 underwent randomizations in the intention to treat population. So we're moving on to the next point of blinding, which is being 0.11a. If done, who was blinded after assignment to interventions? For example, like participants, care providers, those assessing outcomes, and how. 11b, if relevant, description of the similarity of intervention. It is not stated in the text, so we're moving on to statistical methods. We're moving into statistical methods, being 0.12a. Statistical methods used to compare groups for primary and secondary outcomes. It is not stated in text. We're moving to 12b, methods for additional analysis such as subgroup analysis and adjusted analysis. For this one, it is mentioned in page 6, which being the graphics here of subgroup analysis subgroup. All participants, it is stated all here strain, and there's also strain analysis of subgroup. This is the of being 0.12b, methods for additional analysis such as subgroup analysis and adjusted analysis. They subgroup the participants into smaller groups, and then they pull all the data of, like, for example, male or female, being their race. Okay, so we're moving on now to results, being participant flow, sorry, for being point 30A. For each group, the numbers of participants who were randomly assigned receive intended treatment and were analyzed for the primary outcome. Uh, for this one, it is, I'm blocking it. A total of 24,141 participants underwent randomization and were included in intention to treat population. Demographic information and details of the randomization were not available for two participants who were not included in either efficacy or safety analysis. Moving on to point 13B, for each group, losses and exclusion of randomizations together with reasons. Uh, for this one, it is, there's a diagram, I believe. It is in page 4. So this is the diagram of the point 13B for each group losses. So which were 25,000, at least 25,000 plus participants were assessed for eligibility, and then 1,000 were not included. Were included, 6 discontinued early. I mean, it's excluded. So we're left with 24,141 participants left, and then they were breakdown into two subgroups, which uh, one group was assigned to receive COV LPAS03, and the next one is placebo. And then we were left with at least 10,554 per protocol population, and then the subgroup of B is 9,536. So we're moving on to recruitment 14A. This defining the periods of recruitment and follow-up. It is stated in page 2. It is, I think, oh, sorry, it is not stated in the text on when the periods of recruitment and follow-up. And then point 14B, why the trial ended or was stopped, it is also not stated in text. Moving to baseline data, point 15, a table showing baseline demographic and clinical characteristic for each group. It is in page 8. This is the cumulative incidence of covenant intention to treat population. So this is for this placebo, and then called LP A03. So this is the diagram of it, and here's the data. So we're moving information, being point 17A, for each primary and secondary outcome for results for each group and the estimated effect size and its precision. It's stated in page 9. It is shown here. The occurrence and intensity of unsolicited adverse events in each group are provided uh, in tables, along with data regarding serious and medically attended adverse events, events leading to withdrawal from trial, events of special interest, and death. The incidence of unsolicited adverse events at the reverse. after the first or second dose was slightly higher. Moving on to point 17b for binary account presentation of both absolute and relative effect size is recommended. It is not stated in the text, so we're moving on to point 18. Results of any other analysis performed, including subgroup analysis and adjusted analysis, distinguishing pre-specified from exploratory. For this one, it is also not stated in the text, so we're moving on. To point 19, all important harms are unintended effects in each group. For this one, I believe it is stated in page 9 also. It is stated here. In this trial, we found that CoV-LP plus A03 vaccine provides substantial protection against COVID-19 caused by a range of variants. The overall vaccine efficacy was approximately 70% against any symptomatic infection in a young adult population. Of these participants, almost 10% had high risk of existing illness, regardless of baseline source status. Vaccine efficacy among adults who were 65 years old or older could not be determined because of the limited enrollment of participants in this age group. However, previous evidence suggests that CoV-LPA03 vaccine included similar immune responses in both young and older adults. So next one, to point 20, trial limitation addressing sources of potential bias, imprecision, and if relevant multiplicity of analysis not stated in the text. We're moving on to point 21, generalizability, external validity, applicability of the trial findings. It is stated here. It is stated here from page 9 to 10. So this is the data. So we found that the CoV-LPS03 vaccine provides substantial protection against COVID-19 caused by a range of variants. So it is like before, it's in the discussion one, and there's a data here. So we're moving on to interpretation. So we're moving to the next one, which being which is registration number, name of trial registry. It is stated in page 1. It is stated in the results one of being a total of 24,141 volunteers participated in trial. The median age of the participants was 21 years old. And the name of the trial registry is the efficacy and safety of recombinant plant-based adjuvanted COVID-19 vaccine. We're moving on to protocol, which is point 24, where the full trial protocol can be accessed if available. It is stated in it is stated here. It is stated here 25,170 participants were recruited. Were recruited, 24,141 underwent randomization in the intention to treat population. These participants had no virologic evidence of COVID-19 before receiving trial injection. The safety population included 24,076 participants who had received one or more trial injections. So that is for where the full trial protocol can be accessed if available. And it is also stated in the methods here. You can access it at 85 sites in Argentina, Brazil, Canada, Mexico, the UK, and the US. And we're moving on to funding. Sources of funding and other support, such as supply drugs, role of founders. It is also stated here that the trial, which was funded by Medicago with financial support from the Canadian Innovation Science and Economic Development Strategic Innovation Fund, was designed by company representatives with input from GlaxoSmithKline. CNS Health Canada provided trial management services. Site investigators were responsible for the recruitment of trial participants, local trial conduct, and the data collection. Key laboratory analyses were performed by viral clinics, but all participants provide written informed consent. Um, so that's all from my Consort checklist of the article Efficacy and Safety of Recombinant Plant-Based Adjuvanted COVID-19 Vaccine. Uh, thank you for uh, thank you for the attention. I'm sorry if I miss if I'm sorry if I have misread or something isn't most informative. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.